Welcome to another Women in Baseball edition of Baseball Biz on Deck. Today's guest, Greta Langhenry, co-founder and president of Level Ump, a 501c3 that helps women entering the world of umpiring.
Welcome to Baseball Biz on Deck. I am Mark Harvard, your host. And with me today, I have the distinct pleasure to have the founder and president of Level Up, Greta Langhenry. Tell you what, Greta, it's great having you here. I love it. You're a member of the third team on the field. Greta's done so much as an umpire and doing so much for umpires. I'm really grateful that you're able to give us some time today to talk about, what all you're doing with Level Up. And Greta, I'm looking across women in sports, and I've seen, women's soccer start to grow, WNBA start to grow, seeing the Athletes United Softball, the WPBL, and then All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, where we're going to see basically becoming tryouts for the USA Women's National Team.
Absolutely.
There's all of this going on. And talking about the All-American Women's, you texted me earlier today, and it hit me right between the eyes. And a lady who's done a lot with the AAAGPBL and certainly with the all-girls baseball, and that's Miss Sue Zipay. And that woman, she's a force. She's an absolute force in the game and done a lot for the game as far as not just being part of the great history of women in baseball, but about trying to make sure it's getting promoted. It's getting young ladies involved and giving them a place to play. But there's a lot of folks doing that today, but I did want to just mention her, and I don't want to do it in passing. We'll give on this show, we'll give more attention to Sue and her history. I consider her a friend, and I was just really sad to hear that she's passed.
I was too. Sue gave me, and not just me, but a lot of other women an opportunity to be a part of the game. And she was a big deal for that. She ran the American Girls Baseball League. She was really at the forefront of trying to make a new league. I got to work games in Sarasota at the spring training of the Baltimore Orioles. And when I was a little kid, I was a big Orioles fan. So it was a big deal for me to work there. And Sue made that happen with her league. And she went out of her way to hire women umpires to umpire her women's baseball. And it's a real loss that we've lost her yesterday. So
yeah, and I know she lives near the Sarasota area down there, and it was great to see that her put it on for a couple of years at Ed Smith Stadium and the little mini Camden Yards site. But man, no, she will be missed. But the thing of it is, folks, those of us who love the game, she's kind of entrusted us to pick this up more, put the foot on the gas and make things happen even more so. And you're doing that, Greta. You're doing that with Level Up. Could you give us a minute to kind of tell us a little bit about, one, your first interest in become an umpire, and then we can get into Level Up some?
Sure. I fell in love with the game of baseball, I think, like everybody does with their parent or an older person when you're a kid. It's a kid's game, right? That adults play. And so there's this bridging of generations that happens when you talk about baseball, where an older person can teach a young kid, hey, it's cool, the very best only hit 3 out of 10 times or whatever, So there's room there. It's a game of failure. It's really a lot like life. And I think I came around to loving it just like everybody does. My dad loved baseball, and we would watch on TV. We would listen on the radio. We would keep score. Even if we were listening on the radio, we would keep score. And I played growing up. When you're little, there aren't that many kids who want to play baseball in rural Georgia. So I was on the boys' team. I was the only girl. And then when I got to be about a teenager, they said, well, girls play softball, and you're not allowed to play baseball anymore. And I didn't like that, but I didn't fight it. I just was like, okay, well, if I'm not allowed, then I'm not allowed. Like I just decided, like, okay, if they say I can't do it, I can't do it. So I caught fast pitch for a couple of years, and I really liked it. I like softball. It's a different game, and I'm happy to talk about softball other times, but it's different.
Yeah.
And I think that even softball players would acknowledge that it's a quicker game. The rules are different. It's fun to watch, but I love baseball. And so what I always wanted was baseball. And I was reading some stuff in 2018. I was in an interesting period of my life where I had some time to decide what I wanted to do. And I read a story online that said that there were women umpires, and women umpires didn't have uniforms. The whole story was they don't make safety gear or uniforms for women to do this job. It doesn't exist. However, here are pictures of two women who are doing it anyway. And I saw a picture of Jen Pawol. She's currently in AAA. She's the second woman ever to make it that far after Pam Postema. And Emma Charlesworth-Seiler was also in the league that year. She's the 8th woman to ever be professionally hired. I wanted to be the number 9 after them. But, the story was like, oh, they don't make shoes small enough to fit your feet. They don't make a chest protector that fits you. They don't make pants that fit you. You're going to have to do. But they looked so cool. And I was like, I want to be them. And so that's what I did. I just started Googling, how do I become a professional umpire? How do I become her? And so that's a lot of what Level Ump tries to do now is we try to put out pictures of people who are doing things because we subscribe to the phrase, if you can see it, you can be it. It wasn't that I didn't think I could be an umpire or that women couldn't be umpires. I just never thought about how much have you thought about umpires, right? Like we don't think of if you're doing your job as an umpire, nobody thinks about you, right?
You're supposed to be invisible.
Exactly. Like the best of us are the ones you don't know.
Yep.
So I didn't think women couldn't be. I just never thought about it. But as soon as I saw it, I knew that's what I wanted to be.
I'm thinking, from baseball overall, way back in my past as a child in Little League, and you had to share gloves, you had to share equipment.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, catchers came in all sorts, sizes, and sorts. And there was one piece that was supposed to be used by all. So the tiniest guy to the biggest guy and whatever. And then to think of, you didn't even think about accommodating women and young girls. So that was going to be something new. And I mean, right now, a lot of that equipment seems invisible sometimes because wearing the shirts over it and we don't realize what all's there. But yeah, it's like if you don't want to see something thrive, you don't build the equipment for it, and you don't give the education for it. But those things are starting to change.
Most people don't know, but every single umpire that you see behind the plate, even at the little league level, likely is wearing at least one pair of socks, probably what amounts to like yoga pants. We call them tights in the industry. We that's what we call them. The boys call them tights. But like run it. You got to wear shin guards like a catcher does. Well, the catcher gets to wear them on the outside of his pants so they don't rub his legs, but we have to wear them the whole game and we don't get to take breaks. So we have to wear something underneath to prevent chafing. If you're going to work 162 games in a row,
right?
You're not going to do that. So every time you see a pro guy on the field, he or she likely has on at least one pair of socks, steel-toed boots, shin guards, yoga pants, regular pants, some sort of either like cup or pelvic protector, a belt, an undershirt, a chest guard, an overshirt, a hat, the mask. Sometimes they wear the full bucket. That's what we call like what the guys wear behind the catchers when they wear a whole thing that's not a mask and helmet separate. We call it a bucket. But it's warm back there, you know? Like a lot of baseball is in Arizona. A lot of baseball is in Florida. And so it's warm back there and people don't realize how much clothing and gear we have on back there. And then to explain further that none of it is designed for women. And we have to tailor it ourselves or do what we can to. And so that's something that Level Up is doing. We're working, actually, I'm really excited. We're working with a super talented fashion designer at LSU, Martha Rigney, and she's on our associate board for Level Up. And she has given us a step-by-step guide on how to tailor your pants on your own. And like how you can do that to look good. Because, you know, you got to walk out there and you got to look like you own the field.
Yeah.
You know, that's the job, is walking out there and looking like you're in charge. And that's hard to do if you look like you're wearing your grandpa's pants and nobody ever made pants for you. So Martha is this super talented. She's the fashion designer out of LSU. And we're working with her, and she's given us really cool instructions on how to do it yourself. She's helping us design things that we hope in the future will be available to women, because we don't need a women's uniform that's separate. We just need to look like our partners, right? You know, I just need it to fit me well enough that I look as good as my partner does on his plate job.
Well, I mean, that's important, going back to you are the official. You are the person. You have to have a presence of authority. And part of that comes in the uniform that you wear. So, I mean, I can see where that's critical to be able to have that. But my gosh, no matter what you have, it sounds like you better really want to be an umpire, because that can be fairly uncomfortable. And I worry about some of the baseball players playing out this heat, and they have maybe a third of what some of you all have to wear behind them.
We don't get a break. We got to
No.
stand out there on especially if it's turf. Turf is real hot. So, especially if it's turf, it's difficult for us. I mean, that's all.
Well, see, what you need to do, you need to have a second team. You need to have, you need to swap out at half innings with another umpire team. And then, you all get a refresher and come back in after that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, I tell you what, I do respect all the umpires do, but it is interesting. Have you seen an increase over the last few years with you're doing with Level Ump, as far as people who are understanding that there's opportunities for women? And I'll just say one more thing on top of that. I've done some shows about umpires in the past and the schools, and realizing the cost. First I said, "Oh, okay, well, there's a scholarship, but the cost, well, that's manageable, that price." Oh, I got to bring my own equipment. Oh, is it? And I started looking at prices on that, and it's like, good gravy, man. Yeah, you almost have to have a sponsor to play the game.
You do. And that's how my story kind of came around. Was I wanted to be a part of professional baseball my entire life, and I didn't know how, because I'd been told so young that I couldn't play. But my dad taught me how to keep score. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll be, and if you had asked me in spring of 2018 what my dream was, I would have said professional scorekeeper. for a baseball team, like legitimate, like for whoever, the Dodgers or whatever. Then I saw this picture of a woman on the field with her face mask in her hand, like commanding the baseball field. The game was hers. And I had never seen that before. And I just immediately was overwhelmed. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. I want to do that thing. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so I Googled and went, and MLB now has these 1-day camps. If you want to be an umpire, I highly recommend any of your listeners, if you have any desire to be a professional umpire, please go to a 1-day camp that MLB has. They pick directly from these camps people to send with full scholarships to umpire school. Umpire school is expensive. There are only 2 options if you want to do this, and that's to go to the Wendelstedt Umpire School and pay your own way, or to go to the school in Vero on a full scholarship for Major League Baseball. Nobody pays their own way to Vero anymore. It's invitation only.
Oh, wow.
From these 1-day camps. So if that's what you want to do, you need to be seen at a 1-day camp. And so I highly recommend that. But that's what I did. I drove overnight to Minute Maid Park in Houston. I had never umpired. I'd never seen a pitch except as a catcher.
Right.
I put on an umpire uniform. It felt like a Halloween costume because I didn't know what I was doing. I went there. There were about 175 people there that day. There were 3 women. I was offered a full scholarship at the end of the week. A couple days later, I got a phone call and said, "Would you like to go to school?" And I said yes. And so I went on a scholarship. They are looking for people. I highly recommend that. But I also highly recommend coming to Harry's. I'm to the Wendelstedt School. I'm a Harry's guy. That's what we call ourselves. It's the longest running professional umpire school in history. It has turned out more World Series umpires and more professional umpires than any other school that has ever been in existence, ever.
Wow.
So we call it the Harvard of umpire schools. So I'm a little, biased, but I've graduated from there twice, but I highly recommend it. That's where I send my students from Level Ump. So what we do is we take applications and scholarships, and I try to send anybody, who might not otherwise be able to afford it, who might not look like what the major league umpires look like on the field. We want to help them get into the game. There's room for everybody in the game, and there's no reason why lots of us can't be umpires.
I'm glad you're providing that service and helping young women in a new path to get. Well, I won't say a new path. The support they need to get there. And that being said, go ahead?
Yeah, I think it is new, and I think that's fair. There's never been a woman in the major leagues.
I keep looking at Jen Pawol. I thought maybe last year I'd see her in there, and
she's in AAA. She's only so she is the second woman in history to make it to AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Postema made it back in the 90s and 80s, 90s, and Jen's only the second after that. But there are women in the NBA. There are women in the NFL. And, I used to work for MLB, and I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers here, but the tagline for my nonprofit, Level Ump, is America, it's past time.
That's very poignant.
And, it just is. There's no reason why women shouldn't be playing in the league, officiating in the league. Major League Baseball has a tough history of who they're hiring to do these jobs. And here we had the game at Birmingham at Rickwood Field, and it was the very first time in MLB history we had a full 4-man crew umpire, all black men.
Yep.
And it's the only time we could have ever done it, because it's the only time we've ever had enough of them in the history of Major League Baseball. They've hired 11 black men to do this job. When you think about that, it's, I'm, like I said, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Major League Baseball.
No, it's what it is. I mean, creditors,
that's
I look out there and I'm not
what
again.
it is, it's what it looks like.
There you go. I do want to ask you though, as far as level up and what you're doing, be scholarships, be equipment, what kind of sponsorships or supporters do you all have to help you execute this?
Yeah, so we're a 501c3 nonprofit funded entirely by donations, mostly by folks who've been to umpire school and want to kick us a couple of bucks. But we're small right now. We're trying to grow. So I got the scholarship in 2019. I went to Harry's. I went to the Windelset Umpire School, and there are 2 schools in the world that you can go to be a professional umpire. And in 2019, I was the only woman enrolled at either of them. So there were about 100 people at my school, about 100 people at the other school, 1 girl. I came from a background of working where I was the only woman, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But for Level Ump, we try to make sure we send at least 2 every year so that nobody's alone ever again.
Good.
Also, I live pretty close by, and I'm available. We do lots of umpire school. I don't know if you know. If you want to go to Harry's, you're going to be busy Monday through Saturday, sun up to sundown, for all of January. It's 5 weeks, sun up to sundown, 6 days a week. You get 1 day a week that you're off to, do your laundry, iron your pants, shine your shoes, kind of thing. You've got to show up ready. And so we try to send at least 2 at a time. And I'm here to in the area-ish to provide help or whatever. But I know it can be difficult. And we just want to help that. We want to make sure that if you go home and you have a question about the rules and you're worried because you're the only woman in your association and you have a question about a rule, and you don't want to raise your hand because maybe people won't trust you anymore to be your partner,
right?
Well, you can call me instead and I will fix the rule for you. And then you can go to your meeting and you have questions.
Well, there's nothing like having a sympathetic ear to, just a colleague you can trust. And that's not to say you don't necessarily trust everybody else, but someone you have common ground with, somebody that you feel like has had this experience before. And the uniqueness of being female in umpire school, certainly sets those folks apart. So yeah, I could see a unique support system above and beyond maybe what's there. So I'm glad you're providing that for them. Hey, I wanted to talk about something else too. And one is the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy. Yeah. Could you share some with us on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm an instructor at the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy. It's one of the most important things in my life. I'm really proud to be associated with this group. It's exactly what it sounds like. We serve wounded, ill, or injured service members who are interested in baseball, but we don't really care about the baseball part, right? Like, so baseball is our vehicle. That's what we like to say. Baseball is how we'll get to you. And maybe now you want to come out of your living room and hang out with us and do a day. So we run a 10-day camp every summer in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And if you apply and are accepted to the group, we will fly you there. We will put you up for the 10 days. We will feed you, and we will outfit you head to toe. The uniform and all the equipment you need. It's everything. You can show up and like not know what baseball is. That's okay. That's totally fine. But we will fit you out head to toe. We'll teach you for 8 days, and then the last 2 days we run a youth tournament, so you get your first like pitches under your belt.
Oh my gosh!
So you can see some real baseball. I was incredibly honored to work there a couple of years ago for my first year as a woman. First of all, they don't have too many of those, but also as a civilian. And it is rare for them to invite a civilian into their ranks. Everyone there is, like I said, a wounded, ill or injured military member. It's so great. Like these guys they're the best. I talk to somebody from the program every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if your listeners know, the numbers aren't great for veterans these days in the United States. We're losing 22 a day to suicide. WWA has been around for 10 years. Nobody we've ever come into contact with has been lost yet.
Well, that's encouraging. I mean,
it's a big deal. So yeah. I don't care if you want to umpire when you go home, but I do care that we made a connection at camp, and now you feel like you have somebody to talk to, and that's what WWA does. We look after every single one of our people for the life of the veteran. Once you're a part of us, you're part of us forever. And they look after me as a civilian. They call me when they think I'm having a hard day. They're great guys. So I'm real proud of that.
Well, I can't think of a better thing to do than working with the Wounded Warriors Project like you are. So congratulations to you, and thank you from myself. I mean, and everybody else who wants more for our veterans and wants to give them maybe something else that's, I don't know, something positive in this world. And it sounds like you're a big contributor with that and all the rest of the folks with that program. Where'd you say it's in Carlisle?
Yeah, right now we do the camp in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, right outside the War College, the Army War College.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's really an important program and one that I'm proud to be a part of. And I feel grateful. Like I said, it's rare for them to let a civilian in.
Well, I'm glad you were able to do that. I want to take a step back, because I know looking at your career, you were the first female umpire with the Coastal Plain League and also the Florida Collegiate Summer League. Now, in those early days, were there any unique experiences that you'd like to maybe share with us? Was there a day or a player or somebody in the stands that you had to deal with something?
That's a really good question. I was the first woman to work the Florida Collegiate Summer League, and I was the first woman to work the Coastal Plain League, which at the time was the Savannah Bananas, which everybody always wants to know about. So maybe we could talk about that. They were still playing regular baseball rules at the time. However, they were doing crazy stuff. So I have a video of me at a plate meeting with my partner for the Savannah Bananas and the Macon Bacon. And I don't know if you remember Barney, the big purple dinosaur,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, some of your listeners will certainly remember that. Barney, the big purple dinosaur, gave me a back rub and a head pat before the game during the plate meeting. It was super freaking weird, but I know they have their new rules now. I'm a big fan. I know it's not real baseball, and that's fine. And I'm a purist, so like it's different for me, but I'm a big fan of Jesse, who owns and runs the Savannah Bananas. He has his like home plate umpire, Vincent, who's a Savannah Banana staple. But when they go other places and they hire the other umpires for the other bases, they hire a lot of wounded warrior umpires.
Really?
Yes, like a lot.
Oh, that is so cool.
And I'm a big fan of that. Jesse's a good guy. He's really a sweet guy. And so like I know it's not baseball. Jesse knows it's not baseball.
It's banana ball.
It's banana. Exactly. It's the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, and everybody knows that. But he really is really sweet
Yeah.
to our guys, and he goes out of his way to hire like 100% VA disabled guys to umpire his games.
Oh, that
So
is
when
so
you
neat.
watch on TV, you're probably seeing some guys that I've coached through.
Oh, that is so neat. Yeah, I'm sorry. Banana ball is banana ball. And that's, to me, it's great. It's great entertainment. When I saw them living here in Tampa, when I saw that they took Raymond James Field that seats 62,000 people, they tear up the field and put a baseball diamond out there because they were going to play two games in the Trop, 2 nights in a row. No longer there's a Trop. What are we going to do? Well, Jesse figured it out. He got together
Makes
with
sense.
Raymond James and did that. And I think it was a few weeks after that, there was a football stadium that seated around 80,000 or more, and they did the same thing. And it's like, I love it. If it gets anybody to even think about baseball, to me, it's worth it.
And that's what I love about it too, is like, just get the kids out there for a game. And if the parents want to go, because this is more fun for the parents, and the kids see like almost baseball, I mean, like almost all the rules are the same. But, and when I worked, and I've umpired several Bananas games before, but when I umpired, we were under OBR, official baseball rules. We were not under banana ball. But that's not to say I wouldn't do it. I would love to do a banana ball game. But they're really good. He's really smart. And he really thinks, I think, about people. So that's the only thing when people ask me about banana ball, I'm like, well, it's not baseball, but they know that. And that's not what he's trying to do. But what he is trying to do, he's doing real well. A lot of people, and he's a real sweet man and a good businessman. So
I know one of the USA Women's National Team, who's a firefighter. It's amazing how many firefighters are in the baseball. Is actually on one of his teams, the firefighters, and I can't remember her name for the life of me. But I was just pleased as punch to see her out there, and I think he's got 2 or 3 other teams, and I just enjoy the excitement. I think, okay, coming back to the umpire perspective, there's one rule I would like to take from banana ball and put it in MLB, and that's when the fan catches a ball, it's an out.
yeah. So I love that.
To me, that's one of the most fun parts of the game. I mean, it's all fun. The acrobatics, all of that. And yes, it's not baseball, but we love it. And if it keeps anybody enjoying the game in one capacity or another, I'm glad Jesse Cole's out there doing it.
I mean, that's the thing that we talk about at Level Ump, right? Is like if you can see it, you can be it. And so I think if you can see something fun somewhere else that has to do with baseball, then I'm all for it. I want kids to be into baseball. I want boys and girls to be into baseball. So I'm excited about what they're doing. I think it might bring some fans in. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything.
Well, I want to thank you for all you're doing with Level Up, and giving women opportunities to do more with the game as well. From the third team. So, and it's like I said, I was always amazed at the cost for equipment and thinking, one size doesn't fit all, and if it's a woman, it certainly doesn't fit the same as that 80-year-old guy behind the, well, they're not 80 years old, but so some of the folks behind that plate. But I want to thank you for all you're doing with that. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
I think I'd like to say, when I went to this tryout and tried out and got into school and all that, however things happened for me, at the beginning, I knew a lot about baseball. I thought I knew a lot about baseball. I've been a scorekeeper and I've been to all these games and that stuff. I had never met an umpire. And I literally called people who played Division I, like SEC college baseball, and said, "Do you know an umpire? I want to ask them questions about, can I do this or not?" And I couldn't find anybody who knew an umpire. And that was kind of sad for me. So I think I'd like to say, if any of your listeners don't know an umpire, reach out, please, to me, and maybe I can help you and maybe we'll click. But if you don't, I have a network full of men and women umpires, and like from all different backgrounds. And that's really what Level Ump is trying to do, is trying to make sure that like everybody's has a network. And so if any of your listeners don't know who to talk to, maybe it's not me and that's okay, but I could try to find you somebody to talk to, and I would like to.
Well, we appreciate that. I'm sure they do as well. And if they can contact you, they can find your information on levelump.com. And is there a place there to connect to you?
They can find me at levelump.com. It's Greta at levelump.com. I also teach on Ref Masters, the app, so they can find me there. But I'm real easy to get at. There isn't another Greta Langhenry in the world. So, like, if you look me up.
Greta Langhenry, thank you so much for being with us today. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing as far as with Level Up and with the Wounded Warrior program. That's outstanding. So thank you very much. And I hope to get to talk with you soon. I know we both got a love of minor leagues. We're going to maybe get together and watch a game sometime soon. And I'm looking forward to that. All righty. Well, thank you all again for joining us here today on Baseball Biz on Deck. And we'll hope to talk with you all again real soon.
You have been listening to a Baseball Biz on Deck, Women in Baseball edition with Mark's special guest, Greta Langhenry, whose work in the game has continued to help women and veterans alike in the game of baseball. Just a reminder, you can find Mark on Blue Sky at baseballbizondeck.b, sky.social. You may also find Baseball Biz on Deck on iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and at www.baseballbizondeck.com. Special thanks to XTakeRUX for the music, Rocking Forward.